The NCAA Tournament kicks off next week, and this is the time when most NBA fans will start fully tuning in for NBA draft season. Many fans of the Cleveland Cavaliers have already been focused on this for months, but I'm not going to fault you if you haven't been watching a ton of college basketball until now. Regardless of which camp you fall into, some direction on who to focus on as you try to digest as much college basketball as the tournament offers is probably smart. To do that, we're rolling out our rankings of prospects that the Cavs should target in June. Now, the Cavs have 2 picks in the first round, so we're going to hit on options for both picks, in continuous fashion. The way that this draft looks, there might be players that have top 10 value in the class when it's all said and done that are available at the Cavs' second pick, a la 2013 when Rudy Gobert, Tim Hardaway Jr. and Andre Roberson arguably became top 10 players in the class despite being picked in the 20s. So you'll see players in the top 15 of this list who will definitely be there when the Cavs pick, while players that I wouldn't touch with a top 40 pick may go in the lottery. Hello, Rui Hachimura. A few notes on how this list is laid out, which will shed some light on my draft philosophy and assessment of the Cavs' needs. Feel for the game and decision-making are rated more highly than raw athleticism. Size, strength and length matter to a degree, but among similar prospects, I'm taking the guy who has demonstrated the ability to execute NBA concepts. Give me Grant Williams over Rui Hachimura. Give me Matisse Thybulle over Kevin Porter Jr. Give me DeAndre Hunter over Nasser Little. Centers are basically useless to the Cavs. They have about half their cap tied into Kevin Love, Larry Nance and Tristan Thompson. Ante Zizic is under contract next year. There's no place for centers on this board unless they're so uniquely talented that at a certain point it's not worth passing on them. There's one center on this board. This class is very big on 4s that have perimeter skills, a piece the Cavs absolutely could use. Who can we get to replace David Nwaba when he gets paid, is an overarching theme for the Cavs' second pick. Here's our 30-man prospect list for the Cavs to target in the 2019 NBA Draft. 1. Zion Williamson, PF, Duke, the best player in the class by a country mile. Take him and figure out the fit later. 2. RJ Barrett, SF, Duke. Barrett might not be the star prospect he was billed as in high school, but he's a foundational scoring prospect who can likely take over the primary load and put Colin Sexton in a secondary role. 3. Jarrett Culver, SF, Texas Tech. At worst, he's a competent role player who raises the floor of the team. At best, he's a Rip Hamilton or Joe Johnson type that can be a 1B or secondary option that carries the Cavs on their next playoff run. 4. Kobe White, PG, UNC. I'm not necessarily advocating for drafting White in the top 5. I think instead that he's a player who is a beautiful fit next to Sexton as a facilitator who can play some too, and he might be available at the Cavs' second pick if intel-based mock drafts are to be believed. 5. DeAndre Hunter, PF, Virginia. What I said about Culver, but with a lower ceiling. Plug him in as a rotation player for the future. 6. Darius Garland, PG, Vanderbilt. Another point guard who can draft off Sexton because of his off-ball shooting and facilitation. He's also a competent defender. You're giving up size, but making that up with offensive creation. 7. Ja Morant, PG, Murray State. I will flesh this out eventually, but I have Morant below the other point guards because I think he is going to take a long time to develop into a competent NBA player due to lack of strength and raw decision-making. When he does get there, he'll overlap with Sexton's skill set. He's talented, but there are better options available. 8. Bol Bol, C, Oregon. I think that he can play functionally as a wing on offense and 5 on defense, which would be incredibly valuable. Even with the injury risk, I think Bol is worth a flyer because of his unique combination of length, shooting and touch. 9. Romeo Langford, SG, Indiana development project on the wing with the goal of building a secondary creator. Langford is going to be a project though, and that likely means the Cavs are pretty bad next year with a Sexton-Langford backcourt. 10. Cam Reddish, SG. Duke. I like him as a defensive prospect, but I don't know what he reliably does at the NBA level on offense. He's also likely to be overvalued on that end and might fail because of it. Void. 11. Grant Williams, PF. Tennessee. The Cavs' second best case scenario with the Rockets pick behind Kobe White. A solid passer that can finish on and off ball, shoot threes, and switch on defense. He's a thicker Sadie near his floor and a small Al Horford at his ceiling. 12. Nasser Little, SF. UNC. I'm higher on him than most due to his athleticism and demeanor, but he's a development project that is going to take a lot of time to become functional. 13. Brandon Clark, PF. Gonzaga. Great rim protecting 4 with solid finishing efficiency. He'd have a clunky fit on the roster but is very, very likely to be a role player on a winning team in 3 years. 14. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, SG. Virginia Tech. A pure secondary creator who can score out of the pick and roll efficiently and should be a capable defender at the 2. The Cavs could definitely use that. 15. PJ Washington, SF. Kentucky. He's a 4 at Kentucky, but will play mostly 3 at the NBA level to be effective. He has enough complementary playmaking ability and shooting touch that I think he'll have good success at small forward, especially if he gets to play off a creation 4 like Kevin Love. 16. Sekou Doumbouya, PF. Limoges. Incredibly raw, but also pretty impressively skilled. Doumbouya would be a good long-term development option if the Cavs could fix his shot. 17. Matisse Thybulle, SG. Washington. A probable future all-defense candidate, Thybulle is going to make a team very happy if he's picked around where the Cavs will be picking. I just don't trust them to be the team that turns him into a productive offensive player. 18. Trey Jones, PG. Do questions about his shot worry me enough that he's down here even though I like him more in a vacuum. It's just tough to see him and Sexton working together viably. 19. Keldon Johnson, SF. Kentucky. Physically impressive and talented, but he just doesn't do anything particularly exciting. If he's the Cavs' second pick, he's a good development option. The problem is he might be their first pick if they end up at the no. 7 spot. 20. Kevin Porter Jr., SG. USC. Probably won't be available, and that's probably good because he's a long-term project likely to be fed too much responsibility early on by the Cavs. 21. Ignas Brazdeikis, SF. Michigan. An incredibly smart and skilled 3 that has absolutely zero athleticism. He has a hard ceiling that is likely as a 6th or 7th man, but could be a very good one of those. 22. KZ Okpala, PF. Stanford. Older, stronger, Keldon Johnson. Not particularly interested. 23. Davidis Servidis, SF. Lietuvos Rytis Sergei Karasev, but without the attitude problems. That's probably a good NBA player, there will just be better fits on the board. 24. Yuval Zuzman, SF. Maccabi Tel Aviv. Bigger Sadie with a higher defensive ceiling. He's a draft and stash option that absolutely could play in his rookie year if he came over. 25. Terrence Davis, SF. Ole Miss. A bullish, athletic wing with good on-ball defense. He's a great target if the team buys a second-rounder. 26. Josh Reeves, SG. Penn State. A first-round level talent likely to go undrafted due to size and lack of offensive skill. The Cavs can get him for free. 27. Talon Horton-Tucker, SF. Iowa State. Another player likely to be overdrafted if he comes out due to raw skill set and length. Void. 28. Ayo Sunmu, PG. Illinois. Athletic defense-minded point guard that flashes a good offensive ceiling, too. He's a project, but one I'd bet on in the second round. 29. Shnomori Pons, PG. St. John's. Volume scoring point guard that's likely to be a quality backup. good fail-safe option if the Cavs end up looking at a bunch of raw wings and bigs when the Rockets pick ends up around no. 28. 30. DeMarcus Simons, SG, Georgia State super athletic raw wing with great finishing ability. Like Reeves, likely to be available for free.